thought I would just randomly talk about this game that that I heard about um, called Werewolf. Um, a friend of mine that I've had on the podcast that is in the that does the band Celador. We were talking about it a while ago, and it just kind of came up in my head again. And for those of you that don't know what Werewolf is, Werewolf is a game where players are secretly assigned roles. Um, some people are werewolves and other people are villagers. During the night, like when they turn the lights off in the room, werewolves secretly go around and choose a villager to kill. While during the day rounds, the villagers they have to figure out and discuss together who the werewolf is that's killing everybody when the lights go out. So I was just thinking, like it's pretty tough to find out who the werewolf is, and a lot of the time the villagers pick the wrong person. Like they'll pick the person that's not the werewolf out of just sheer suspicion. And also the werewolf is in there trying to persuade everybody that it's not them, and throw the shade on somebody else. So I don't know if you guys played that game in school. Um, I played a game similar to that when I went to school. It was called Heads Up Seven Up, and we would have to put our heads down, and then you'd put your finger up or whatever, or you'd have your finger up, and then somebody would come and tap your shoulder, and you put it down, and that meant that you were in, and then whoever was left with their thumb up, I guess, was out. I can't quite remember how the fuck that game was played, but anyway, me and my buddy were talking about it, and I thought this was a great analogy. We were discussing these things about narcissists and nasty, shitty people in the world that kind of, you know, convince people to go after the good people while they're protected. They create kind of like these mind games to where they can eat up the whole village without anybody really suspecting it. And I just thought that was a really fascinating thing I wanted to talk about today. So, how would you win the game of werewolf? And I've heard some people call it mafia too. How do you win this game without killing innocent people and only the two werewolves out there that are trying to get you? Um, so it's going to be a tricky thing, but I wrote some things out here to try and like figure it out, and I'm gonna interject some of my thoughts as we go along here. So what are some strategic approaches that we could use? Well, we could observe the pattern and analyze it and talk about it in a coherent fashion whenever the day cycle begins. Pay close attention to everyone's behavior from the very start. Werewolves often try to blend in, but may inadvertently show nervousness or over eagerness to accuse others. Kind of like poker, kind of like you have this poker face, um, or you don't. You got to notice subtle cues like eye contact, body language, and speech patterns. If somebody suddenly changes how they play or behaves inconsistently, since you know their personality, they may be hiding something. So the people that are closest to the ones that might be eating you in the middle of the night are the ones that you want to kind of buddy up with in the villager stage. You want to ask indirect questions and make it difficult for werewolves or psychopaths to lie convincingly. For example, ask the person's thoughts on each other rather than direct "Are you a werewolf?" question. No, everybody's going to say, "No, I'm not a psychopath. No, I'm not trying to fuck over everybody in the whole village." Um, this can force werewolves into more detailed responses where slips can occur, and you can start to detect this bullshit within them. Pose questions that require logical consistency, which can be harder to maintain under pressure. I find cops do this when they pull you over. Like they ask you like, "Where are you going?" Who are you seeing? Where are you from? Just simple, indirect questions that usually allude to, oh, you're like a bad guy, or you have somebody in the fucking trunk, or whatever. Um, you want to try and form alliances with trustworthy people. Build alliances with people whose behavior seems genuinely villager-like they're trying to help everyone out and they're not just pointing fingers and accusing. That's a tell. Whenever somebody blames other people in like a job or in town or at church or wherever you have like a social setting at a bar, you're like, hey, you're kind of a motherfucker. Why are you acting like that? Collaborate together on suspicions, but don't rush to make accusations and just fan the fires. That's what the psychos and werewolves want. Have a group of trusted core villagers that you can collectively reason with who might be a werewolf without accidentally targeting an innocent person. Choose your allies based on shared observations, not emotional or knee-jerk reactions. And I think that's true all throughout. Like, this is a really interesting, like, grade school game that we could all play that I don't think a lot of us really took these lessons to heart that we could have learned of how to spot shitty people. Or maybe we know it, but we don't do anything about it. So that's why I want to talk about it here more. Don't have emotional knee-jerk reactions. Have group discussions about things and what you think about people. And prevent tunnel vision on innocent players and going after people that don't deserve it. You want to watch your accusations that you throw at people. The more accusations that you throw that are inaccurate, it makes you look bad, and it's ineffective. Like, they're still taking out the other people that might, in a real-life situation, have them turn against you in a workplace setting. Notice who is quick to vote against other people or throws accusations around. Werewolves and psychopaths might push hard to eliminate innocent people, but a villager has no reason to do so prematurely. Because they're part of the core group. We're all, like, in it together. We're all this family. Conversely, some werewolves may want to lay low and avoid suspicion if they're smart, if they've been around a time or two. Only voting once momentum against one person is clear, and they dogpile. Look for players who only vote late in a round and rarely initiate suspicion. And you have instincts. Trust them. But again, avoid these really hasty decisions and accusations that you throw at people. Balance your instinct with your caution. Your initial instincts can be misleading a lot of the time. Like, you might think somebody's a shitty person, but then you find out like they donate to homeless people or whatever later on. Like, some people got a good poker face because of the way life has treated them or the cards they've been dealt. Especially if others are intentionally sowing confusion, watch out for them. Instead, aim to narrow down suspects through a gradual process of elimination. Only vote for people when you feel reasonably confident about someone's werewolf behavior. Your careful voting pattern will likely encourage other villagers to adopt a similar, cautious approach to things, which is good. You want people thinking. You want them thinking critically. You don't want people just in a mob with pitchforks and torches. They'll burn the whole motherfucker down looking for something that might not even be in the right place. Logic traps. Use logic traps for psychopaths in your workplace or your daily life. Set up a logic trap. Propose scenarios and theories that would make sense only if certain people would be werewolves. For instance, if two players' actions seem to support each other in ways that can only make sense for wolves, bring attention to this observation. See what other people think about it. Because, like Star Wars, the Sith, they have this, like, rule of two. There's only two of them. They don't have three. They don't have four. They don't have five. That's kind of how this game works. There's just two of them. Another logical trap is to say, if you're a villager, then X wouldn't make any sense if you did this, so why did you do that? Villagers usually have consistent logic where werewolves might get tripped up and stutter, and that will be a tell. Always encourage open communication wherever you're at. Try to make as many allies and friends as possible. Um, wherever you might work or go to school or church or social function or the bar, just anywhere that you're going. Always try to talk to people and be open. Use open-ended questions and encourage everyone to talk to each other. Werewolves may reveal themselves over time if they have time to improvise or make up stories. You can always see, like, how quick do people react? What are they like on the spot? Some people get a little anxious at first when they're on the spot, but they usually kind of get over it. A werewolf or a psychopath might always be a little edgy and nervous. Don't force accusations towards people. Instead, use statements like, I'm not sure about player X or player Y yet, but their actions have been strange. They've been odd. This way, other people can contribute without feeling pushed to, dogpile somebody that they might like. This reduces the chance of innocent casualties as well. And, fucking up the vibe at work or whatever. All right, so how do you turn this all about and do something about it? How do you win the game? How do you find the psychos and the werewolves and the people fucking with the vibe at work or school? As the end of the game progresses, more and more villagers or people at work are eliminated, fired or turned against you or what have you. Keep track of those that have behaved consistently in line with the villager role. In the final rounds, analyze all the information you have collectively together and make the last push towards the werewolves that are fucking the vibe up. If the remaining suspects are few, try to eliminate one known innocent through a vote if necessary to test reactions and deduce who might be the wolf. By focusing on these methods, we can increase our chances of identifying the psychos and werewolves without taking down innocent people along the way. It's very difficult, I know, but I think these things, tips and tricks will help go a long way if we can, start playing these games together again and just figure people out. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? What is your whole fucking deal? Um, Honestly, don't know what kind of games they play in grade school anymore, but these were critical, and I see in a lot of different workplaces or social situations that the werewolves and the psychos, they run amok. They control the narrative of everything. They decide who's in and who's out, sort of thing. But in my personal experience, when I've had a good core group of people and we constantly communicate, it's extremely difficult for a werewolf psychopathic type of personality to creep in on our vibe or our circle of people. We can kind of see it from a distance, all the fuckery afoot, but it very rarely creeps in, and if it does, it's dealt with very quickly. They're out of there like that. Because we ain't got time for this. We're all getting older, and wiser, and just don't have the energy for that type of bullshit anymore. So I think it's key to stay patient. Don't jump the gun. Um, Stay analytical, observant, and it'll give us a strong chance for victory over this kind of dumb bullshit that happens on a daily basis. So I was busy going on about that. I see a few people in the chat said hello. Hi, how are you doing tonight? Uh, I'm glad you all are tuning in and checking out this discussion about werewolves. What kind of games did you guys play in school besides Werewolf or Heads Up 7 Up? Kind of like a social game that that you would play to really figure out the inner dynamics of human beings and how they operate. You know, like games that play around with lying and deceit and outsmarting people and figuring out like through a like I guess rules of deduction like Sherlock Holmes what is going on and who's fucking over everybody here. Maybe they left, but thanks for tuning in anyway. I was playing chess with a buddy of mine tonight at the bar, and I just, I think that's just a priceless thing to be able to walk in to a building in your town and have people that you know that you can just start a chess game with, that you can just start to bullshit and, you know, joke around and talk about your day and take stock of what you have in your life. It's it's an increasingly rare thing anymore, even in town, even in my town. Like a lot of people kind of they might say hello or hi here and there at the store, but to really have a place to sit and congregate and figure things out as villagers, I think is a really important thing to do. We otherwise, we get outnumbered by or outmaneuvered by these werewolf type characters. They just kind of, like I said earlier, run circles around people and don't allow like the fun factor to enter into the fray. Um, we don't really need that energy anymore, you know. Maybe that's a reason that a lot of people quit going out or being social. Uh, I'm not really sure what it is, but it's got to stop. People gotta get back out there. We got to put ourselves back out there. Um, Besides just being on the internet all day. I mean, I enjoy being on it and doing videos and podcasts and things like that. But it's a whole different world when you just show up to a bar and you start playing chess with somebody or start playing pool or start having a really deep conversation with a person that you've seen there a few times, and then you become friends, and then you can riff off of each other and build something up that means a damn. A sense of community of some type. Like one great icebreaker that I've found, no matter what, is karaoke. Like I don't know what karaoke does to people, but just having a microphone up there and a little iPad that people can read lyrics off of open people up. It breaks the ice. Like I've been to a particular bar over and over and seen a lot of people and tried to strike up conversation, and they're kind of guarded and they're not really sure who I am, or why am I talking to them. I'm just trying to make conversation. But on a karaoke night, holy fuck, like if I get up there and sing or they get up there and sing and then I interact with them and talk to them, they are 1,000% more talkative and interactive, and they have a lot to say. And then often they'll be like, get up there and sing a song with me, let's get up there and fucking kill it. And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, what, let's do it. I don't know if there's any other kind of interactions like that can bring that out of people, but maybe some of these little social games would be kind of fun to do at a bar. Maybe I should bring that up at my local bar. Like, all right, guys, we're gonna play Werewolf. We're gonna all turn the lights off, and if the werewolves get away with it, they get 2 free drinks or whatever, right? That'd be kind of a fun thing to play around with. Well, that was about all I wanted to talk about. It was just on the top of my head, the game of Werewolf. So, if you guys had any other games like that, social games you played in school, leave a comment below, and I'll enter it into my Rolodex of thoughts, and bringing up at a later podcast. You guys take it easy. Have a great night.